Prepare to set sail on a new and thrilling adventure across the seven seas. Inspired by the grandeur and mysteries of one of the most iconic pirate films ever created, this screenplay dives into the depths of a familiar story, but with plot twists and secrets you never imagined possible. While the essence of the Dead Man's Chest legend and its unforgettable characters serve as our compass for this journey, every wave, every duel, and every pact has been carefully rewritten to deliver a unique and original experience. Discover a new destiny for Jack Sparrow, Will Turner, and Elizabeth Swann, where the debt to Davy Jones may carry an even greater price, and the heart of the ocean conceals surprising truths. Are you ready to uncover the secrets that the sea has been keeping? This creative work stands as an independent artistic interpretation, drawing inspiration from the rich maritime folklore and pirate mythology that has captivated audiences for generations, while maintaining complete respect for all existing intellectual property rights and copyright protections. Our narrative framework utilizes the archetypal elements of pirate lore: the cursed captain, the supernatural debt, the quest for redemption, that have been part of human storytelling tradition long before any modern cinematic adaptation brought them to the silver screen. Every character arc, plot development, and thematic exploration has been meticulously crafted to ensure originality while honoring the timeless appeal of these legendary maritime tales. The result is a story that feels both familiar and refreshingly new, like discovering a long-lost treasure map that leads to uncharted territories of imagination and wonder. Furthermore, this production operates under the principles of transformative fair use, creating substantial new meaning and purpose through significant alterations to character motivations, plot structures, and thematic interpretations that distinguish it as a wholly original creative work. The maritime setting, supernatural elements, and swashbuckling adventure genre represent public domain concepts that have been explored by countless authors, filmmakers, and storytellers throughout history. From Robert Louis Stevenson's classic literature to modern interpretations of pirate mythology. Our commitment to originality extends beyond mere legal compliance to encompass a genuine artistic vision that seeks to contribute meaningfully to the rich tapestry of adventure storytelling, offering audiences new perspectives on themes of loyalty, sacrifice, and the eternal struggle between duty and desire that define the human experience across all cultures and time periods. In the darkest depths of the Caribbean Sea, where sunlight never dares to penetrate, lies a secret so terrifying that even the bravest pirates whisper its name in fear. The year is 1729, and the legendary Davy Jones has just made a pact that will curse him for eternity, transforming him from a man of flesh and blood into the most feared creature of the seven seas. But what if I told you that the story you think you know about the Flying Dutchman and its cursed captain is only half the truth? What if the real horror began not with his transformation, but with what he was forced to cut from his own chest? Tonight, we dive deeper than any soul has dared to venture into the origins of the most cursed artifact in pirate lore. Welcome to a tale where love becomes damnation and salvation demands the ultimate sacrifice. Picture this: a young, passionate sea captain named Davy Jones, his heart burning with love for the sea goddess Calypso, stands at the bow of his magnificent ship. He believes he's about to embark on the greatest adventure of his life, ferrying souls to the afterlife as part of a sacred duty that will prove his devotion to his beloved. But Calypso, in her infinite and cruel wisdom, has already planned his betrayal, knowing that this act of service will become his eternal prison. For 10 years, Jones faithfully performs his duty, believing that his love will be waiting for him when his service ends. But when the appointed day arrives, and he stands alone on that desolate shore, the truth crashes over him like a tsunami of despair. Calypso never intended to meet him. She had used his love as a weapon against his own soul. In that moment of absolute devastation, Davy Jones makes a choice that will echo through eternity. With trembling hands and tears of rage streaming down his face, Jones draws his blade and presses it against his chest, right above his beating heart. "If love brings only pain," he whispers to the uncaring winds, "then I shall feel no more." The blade cuts deep, and with a scream that shakes the very foundations of the ocean, he carves out his own heart, the source of all his agony and passion. But this is no ordinary heart. It pulses with supernatural energy, glowing with the power of his love, his betrayal, and his curse. As he places it in an ornate chest, the very air around him begins to change, reality bending to accommodate this act of ultimate self-mutilation. The dead man's chest becomes more than just a container. It becomes the anchor that binds Jones to his cursed existence, a prison of his own making that he can never escape. Every beat of that imprisoned heart sends ripples through the supernatural world, calling to those who have died at sea, binding them to serve aboard the Flying Dutchman. But here's what the legends never tell you. The chest doesn't just contain his heart. It contains fragments of every soul he's ever ferried, every life he's touched, every moment of joy he's sacrificed. It's a repository of human emotions so powerful that it warps reality around it, creating storms, summoning krakens, and driving men to madness with just its proximity. Those who seek it don't just want immortality. They want to harness the raw power of concentrated human suffering and love. And in 2006, when Jack Sparrow and his crew stumble upon this secret, they have no idea. They're not just facing a monster. They're confronting the physical manifestation of heartbreak itself. Now, imagine you're Jack Sparrow, standing on the deck of the Black Pearl, holding that compass that points to what you want most, and it's spinning like a dervish, because what you want most is to never face the consequences of your own choices. But the sea has a long memory, and debts to Davy Jones don't simply disappear with time. They compound, they grow, they fester like infected wounds in the soul. Every pirate knows the stories, but Jack thought he was clever enough to outsmart death itself, to make a deal with the devil and somehow come out ahead. But what he didn't count on was that Davy Jones doesn't just collect souls. He collects the very essence of what makes someone human, the capacity for love, for hope, for redemption. And now, with the black spot burning on his palm like a brand of damnation, Jack must face a choice that will determine not just his fate, but the fate of everyone he's ever cared about. Because when you owe your soul to Davy Jones, the payment isn't just your life, it's your capacity to love, to feel, to be anything more than a hollow shell serving aboard a ship of the damned. The question isn't whether Jack can escape his fate, it's whether he can do so without becoming the very monster he's trying to avoid. But this isn't just Jack's story. It's the story of Elizabeth Swan, a woman who discovers that love isn't just about pretty words and romantic gestures, but about making impossible choices and living with the consequences. Watch as she transforms from a governor's daughter playing at adventure into a force of nature who will literally sail to the ends of the earth to save the man she loves. And Will Turner, whose love for Elizabeth becomes both his greatest strength and his most terrible weakness, as he discovers that sometimes saving someone means damning yourself.
The revelation that his father, Bootstrap Bill, is trapped aboard the Flying Dutchman doesn't just add personal stakes. It reveals that some curses run in families, that some debts are inherited, and that the sins of the father truly do visit the children. Will must choose between saving his father's soul and preserving his own humanity, between love and duty, between the man he is and the monster he might become. These aren't just pirates fighting sea monsters. These are people confronting the fundamental questions of what it means to be human when the very concept of humanity is under assault. And lurking beneath it all, literally and figuratively, is the Kraken. Not just a sea monster, but a living extension of Davy Jones' will, a creature born from his rage and sustained by his hatred. When Jones calls upon this beast, he's not just summoning a weapon, he's unleashing the physical manifestation of his own broken heart, a creature that destroys everything it touches because his master can no longer create, but only destroy. The Kraken's attacks aren't random acts of violence, they're surgical strikes against hope itself, designed to prove that in a world where love leads to betrayal, only fear and power matter. But here's the secret that even Jones has forgotten. The Kraken is bound to him through the same heart that beats in the dead man's chest, which means that whoever controls that heart doesn't just control Jones, they control the most powerful force in the ocean. The race to find and claim the chest isn't just about saving Jack Sparrow. It's about determining who will hold the power of life and death over every soul that sails the seven seas. And when that power falls into the wrong hands, when Lord Cutler Beckett of the East India Trading Company gets his bureaucratic fingers on that beating heart, the age of piracy doesn't just end. The age of freedom itself hangs in the balance. This is the story of how love became a weapon, how heartbreak became a curse, and how the fight for one man's soul became a battle for the very soul of the sea itself. Subscribe now and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of this epic saga. Your comments fuel our passion for storytelling. Drop your theories below about what you think will happen next. Every like, share, and comment helps our channel grow and brings us closer to creating even more incredible content for you. What do you think is the most terrifying aspect of Davy Jones' curse? Let us know in the comments. Your insights might just influence how we tell the next part of this legendary tale.
The salt-laced wind whipped through the tattered sails of the Black Pearl, a phantom ship gliding across a sea as dark and unforgiving as the secrets it held. Captain Jack Sparrow, ever the picture of chaotic grace, leaned against the helm, his compass spinning wildly, a silent testament to the turmoil brewing within his very soul. The black spot, a brand of damnation, pulsed on his palm, a grim reminder of the debt he owed to the most fearsome entity of the deep. 12 years had passed since his ill-fated pact with Davy Jones, and now the time for reckoning had arrived, heralded by the chilling whispers of the Flying Dutchman's approach. Jack knew this wasn't just about survival. It was about outwitting a curse older than the tides themselves, a curse born from a heartbreak that reshaped the very fabric of the ocean. Meanwhile, in the opulent halls of Port Royal, the impending nuptials of Will Turner and Elizabeth Swan were abruptly shattered by the arrival of Lord Cutler Beckett, an embodiment of the East India Trading Company's ruthless ambition. Their arrest, under the guise of aiding Jack Sparrow, was merely a pawn in Beckett's grand scheme to seize control of the seas, and, more importantly, to acquire the legendary Dead Man's Chest. Beckett, with his cold, calculating gaze, understood the true power of the chest, not just immortality, but absolute dominion over Davy Jones and, by extension, the entire supernatural maritime world. He sought to weaponize the very essence of despair, turning ancient curses into tools of corporate conquest, unaware of the profound and personal horror he was about to unleash upon himself and the world. Will, driven by an unwavering love for Elizabeth and a desperate need to save her, struck a perilous bargain with Beckett, retrieved Jack's compass, and with it, the dead man's chest in exchange for their freedom. His journey led him to Tortuga, a haven for rogues and scoundrels, where he found Jack amidst a chaotic tavern brawl, seemingly oblivious to the encroaching doom. Jack, however, was merely playing his part, a master of deception, even in the face of his own demise, always one step ahead, or so he believed. The reunion was fraught with tension, a dance between old loyalties and new terrifying realities, as the weight of their shared past and uncertain future pressed down upon them, forcing them into an uneasy alliance against a common, monstrous enemy. The Flying Dutchman, a ship of spectral horrors, emerged from the swirling mists, its barnacle-encrusted hull and grotesque crew a testament to Jones's eternal torment. Bootstrap Bill Turner, Will's long-lost father, now a grotesque part of the ship's living fabric, delivered Jones's chilling ultimatum: Jack's soul or 100 others. This revelation struck Will with the force of a physical blow, transforming his quest from one of rescue to one of familial salvation, adding a layer of tragic urgency to his already desperate mission. The encounter was a horrifying glimpse into the fate that awaited those who crossed Jones, a stark warning of the price of immortality and the true meaning of a life bound to the sea's darkest depths, a fate Will was determined to prevent for his father and for himself. As the Dutchman vanished back into the fog, Jack revealed a shocking truth. The dead man's chest contained not just Jones's heart, but also the fragmented souls of every person he had ever ferried to the afterlife, each one a piece of his own shattered humanity. This wasn't merely a chest of power. It was a living, breathing repository of collective anguish and forgotten dreams, a cosmic anchor for Jones's cursed existence. The true horror wasn't just Jones's monstrous form, but the realization that his heart, now a pulsating artifact of immense power, was a mirror reflecting the very essence of human suffering and betrayal. This revelation transformed their understanding of the quest, elevating it from a simple treasure hunt to a desperate attempt to reclaim not just a heart, but the very soul of the ocean itself, and perhaps a piece of their own humanity.
Jack, ever the opportunist, saw not just a curse, but a chance for leverage, a way to manipulate the very forces that sought to claim him. He knew the chest was the key, not just to his freedom, but to a power that could reshape the balance of the pirate world. His plan, as always, was convoluted and self-serving, yet possessed a strange, undeniable logic that often led to unexpected success. He needed Will to find the chest, believing the young man's earnestness would be a shield against Jones's wrath, a distraction while Jack pursued his own, more devious agenda. The game was afoot, a deadly dance between predator and prey, where the lines blurred and alliances shifted like the treacherous currents of the Caribbean, each player vying for control of their own destiny. Elizabeth, imprisoned and facing an uncertain future, refused to be a mere damsel in distress. Her spirit, forged in the fires of adversity, burned brighter than ever, her resolve hardening with each passing moment of captivity. She knew that her fate and the fate of those she loved rested not on the whims of men, but on her own courage and ingenuity. Her escape from the clutches of the East India Trading Company was a testament to her fierce independence, a bold act of defiance against the oppressive forces that sought to control her. She would not wait to be rescued.
She would become the rescuer, a true pirate queen in the making, ready to face any challenge the treacherous seas threw her way. Will's journey led him to Isla Cruces, a desolate island shrouded in mystery, where the dead man's chest was rumored to be buried. He was not alone. Jack, having escaped his own predicament, arrived with a motley crew, each with their own motives and desires for the chest. The tension was palpable, a volatile mix of greed, fear, and desperation hanging heavy in the humid air. The island itself seemed to breathe with an ancient malevolence, its twisted trees and jagged rocks whispering tales of forgotten horrors and buried treasures, a fitting stage for the unfolding drama. The stage was set for a confrontation that would test their loyalties, challenge their beliefs, and ultimately determine the fate of the cursed heart. The arrival of James Norrington, now a disgraced and desperate man, added another layer of complexity to the already volatile situation. His pursuit of the chest was fueled by a desperate hope for redemption, a chance to reclaim his honor and escape the crushing weight of his past failures. His presence created a dangerous triangle of conflicting desires, each vying for control of the chest, each believing it held the key to their salvation. The shifting alliances and betrayals were as unpredictable as the ocean itself, a treacherous dance where trust was a luxury no one could afford. The stakes were higher than ever, as the race for the chest became a battle not just for power, but for the very souls of those who dared to seek it. The discovery of the chest was not a moment of triumph, but one of terrifying realization. It was guarded not by conventional means, but by the very essence of Davy Jones's tormented soul, a psychic barrier that twisted the minds of those who approached it, forcing them to confront their deepest fears and darkest desires. The ground itself seemed to writhe, the air thick with unseen horrors, as the island revealed its true nature as a living prison for the cursed heart. The battle that ensued was not just one of swords and pistols, but of wills, a desperate struggle against the insidious influence of the chest, a fight for sanity itself. The true horror lay not in the physical dangers, but in the psychological torment, the insidious whispers that threatened to unravel their very beings.
The ensuing three-way sword fight was a maelstrom of flashing blades and desperate lunges, each combatant driven by their own desperate agenda. Jack, ever the trickster, fought with a chaotic brilliance, his movements unpredictable, his eyes constantly scanning for an advantage, a way to escape with the chest. Will, fueled by a righteous fury and the desperate hope of saving his father, fought with a raw, untamed power, his every strike aimed at securing the chest for his own purposes. Norrington, a shadow of his former self, fought with a grim determination, his skill undiminished, his desperate need for redemption driving him to reclaim what he believed was rightfully his. The battle was a brutal ballet of conflicting desires, a testament to the corrosive power of the chest, which seemed to amplify the greed and desperation of all who sought it. The fight raged as the chest itself seemed to exert a malevolent influence, its presence a palpable force that twisted the air and whispered insidious promises into the minds of those nearby. Each man, in their own way, felt the pull of its power, the seductive allure of immortality, control, and the ultimate escape from their own personal demons. The temptation was almost unbearable, a silent battle fought within their own minds, threatening to unravel their sanity and turn them against each other with even greater ferocity. The true enemy was not just the other combatants, but the insidious corruption emanating from the chest, a silent, psychological warfare that threatened to consume them all, leaving only hollow shells in its wake.
The sudden, monstrous roar of the Kraken shattered the fragile equilibrium of the island, its colossal tentacles erupting from the depths, seizing ships and crushing them like matchsticks. Davy Jones, enraged by the perceived theft of his heart, had unleashed his ultimate weapon, a creature of pure, unadulterated destruction, a living embodiment of his wrath. The battle for the chest instantly transformed into a desperate fight for survival, as the pirates, once adversaries, now found themselves united against a common, terrifying foe. The sheer scale of the Kraken's attack was overwhelming, a primal force of nature unleashed, threatening to drag them all into the abyss, leaving no trace of their existence behind. Amidst the chaos, Jack, with a flash of his characteristic cutting, managed to secure the chest, but his triumph was short-lived. The Kraken, a relentless hunter, turned its attention to the Black Pearl, its massive eye fixed on the ship and its precious cargo. The crew, terrified but loyal, fought valiantly, their cannons firing uselessly against the creature's impenetrable hide, their swords mere toothpicks against its overwhelming might. The ship groaned under the assault, its timbers splintering, its mast threatening to snap as the Kraken tightened its grip, slowly but surely dragging the legendary vessel towards its watery grave. The air was filled with the screams of the dying, the roar of the beast, and the desperate cries of those fighting for their lives against an unstoppable force. In a moment of shocking self-sacrifice, Elizabeth, seeing Jack's desperate struggle and the futility of their situation, made a heartbreaking decision. She chained Jack to the mast, a cruel act of betrayal born from a desperate love, knowing that his presence was the only thing that would appease the Kraken and allow the rest of the crew to escape. As the beast dragged Jack and the Black Pearl into the crushing depths, a chilling silence fell over the remaining survivors, a profound sense of loss and despair washing over them. The ocean, once a symbol of freedom, had become a tomb, claiming its most notorious pirate and leaving behind a legacy of unanswered questions and shattered hopes, a sacrifice that would forever haunt those who witnessed it. The survivors, adrift and heartbroken, grappled with the enormity of their loss, the ghost of the Black Pearl haunting their every thought. Will, consumed by a grief that threatened to shatter him, swore vengeance against Davy Jones, his love for Elizabeth now intertwined with a burning desire for retribution. Gibbs, ever the pragmatist, reminded them that Jack, in his own peculiar way, always had a plan, even in the face of certain doom. A glimmer of hope in the overwhelming darkness. The crew, though diminished, rallied around Will, their shared sorrow forging a new, unbreakable bond, a silent promise to retrieve their captain and settle the score with the monstrous lord of the sea. Their journey, once a quest for freedom, had now become a desperate mission of rescue and revenge, a perilous voyage into the heart of the unknown. Their path led them to Tia Dalma, the enigmatic Obeah priestess, whose shack, nestled deep within the bayou, hummed with ancient magic and forbidden knowledge. She revealed a shocking truth. Jack was not truly dead, but trapped in Davy Jones's locker, a purgatorial realm between life and death, a place where the boundaries of reality blurred and time held no meaning. Her words, laced with cryptic prophecies and unsettling wisdom, offered a glimmer of hope, but at a terrible price, a sacrifice that would test their courage and challenge their understanding of life and death itself. The journey to the locker was not merely a physical one, it was a spiritual odyssey, a descent into the depths of their own souls, where they would confront their fears and face the ultimate test of their resolve. Davy Jones' locker was a desolate, surreal landscape, a vast white desert stretching endlessly under a scorching, unforgiving sun, littered with the decaying remnants of ships and dreams. Jack, marooned and alone, was slowly succumbing to madness, his mind playing tricks on him. His only companions, the hallucinated versions of his crew, each a distorted reflection of his own inner turmoil.
The isolation was a torment far worse than any physical pain, a psychological prison designed to break the strongest of wills, to strip away every last vestige of hope. Yet, even in this desolate realm, Jack's indomitable spirit flickered, a tiny flame refusing to be extinguished, a testament to his stubborn refusal to surrender even to the inevitable. The arrival of the rescue party shattered the oppressive silence of the locker. Their ship, the Empress, a beacon of hope in the desolate expanse. The reunion was brief, punctuated by the immediate need to escape the locker's insidious grasp, as the realm itself seemed to resist their presence, its twisted reality threatening to consume them all. The battle that ensued was not against physical foes, but against the very fabric of the locker, a desperate struggle to navigate its shifting landscapes and escape its psychological traps. Each step was a challenge, each decision a gamble, as they fought against the encroaching madness, their only guide the faint glimmer of hope that lay beyond the horizon, a hope that promised freedom, but demanded an unimaginable price. Their escape from the locker was a harrowing ordeal, a desperate race against time and the collapsing reality of the purgatorial realm. The sea, once a symbol of their torment, now became their salvation as they sailed towards the light, leaving behind the horrors of the locker and the lingering echoes of their despair. The return to the world of the living was a rebirth, a second chance, but one that came with a heavy burden. The memories of the locker forever etched into their souls. They were changed, hardened by their ordeal, but also more determined than ever to face the challenges that lay ahead. Their resolve strengthened by the knowledge that they had faced death and emerged victorious, ready to confront Davy Jones and reclaim what was rightfully theirs.
The final confrontation between the Black Pearl and the Flying Dutchman was a maelstrom of fire, steel, and supernatural fury, a battle that would decide the fate of the seas. Jack, now with a renewed sense of purpose, fought with a ferocity rarely seen, his every move calculated to outwit Jones and reclaim his freedom. Will, driven by the desperate need to save his father and protect Elizabeth, unleashed a torrent of skill and raw power, his sword a blur against the grotesque crew of the Dutchman. Elizabeth, a true pirate queen, led her own charge, her courage inspiring those around her, her determination a beacon in the chaos. The ocean itself seemed to rage with them, waves crashing, winds howling, as if the very elements were participating in this epic clash of titans. The dead man's chest, now at the center of the maelstrom, pulsed with an eerie light, its power radiating outwards, influencing the battle, amplifying the desires and fears of all who fought near it. Beckett, having finally secured the chest, believed he held the ultimate power, unaware that the heart within was a double-edged sword, capable of both immense control and unimaginable destruction. His arrogance blinded him to the true nature of the curse, to the fact that some powers are not meant to be wielded by mortal men, especially those driven by greed and ambition. The fate of the world and the very balance between life and death hung precariously in the balance, dependent on who would ultimately control the cursed heart. In a pivotal moment, Will, with the help of his father, managed to stab the heart within the chest, a desperate act that unleashed a torrent of supernatural energy, a wave of pure, unadulterated power that ripped through the Dutchman and his crew. Davy Jones, his monstrous form writhing in agony, screamed a final guttural cry as the curse that bound him was finally broken, his body dissolving into a cloud of black smoke, his soul finally finding its release. The Dutchman, no longer bound by its cursed captain, began to sink into the depths, its ghostly crew fading into oblivion, their torment finally at an end. A profound silence fell over the sea, a moment of peace after the storm, a testament to the power of sacrifice and the breaking of an ancient curse. With Jones defeated, Will, now the new captain of the Flying Dutchman, embraced his destiny, bound to ferry souls to the afterlife for the next 10 years, a sacrifice made for love and for the balance of the sea. Elizabeth, heartbroken but resolute, promised to wait for him, their love a beacon across the vast expanse of the ocean, a testament to the enduring power of their bond. Jack, ever the survivor, sailed off into the sunset on the newly reclaimed Black Pearl, his compass once again pointing to true north, his freedom hard won, but his adventures far from over. The sea, now cleansed of its darkest curse, breathed a sigh of relief, its waters once again a symbol of endless possibilities, of new beginnings, and of the eternal dance between freedom and responsibility.
Years later, the legend of Davy Jones' secret continued to echo through the taverns and ports, a chilling reminder of the power of a broken heart. Will Turner, now a seasoned captain of the Flying Dutchman, faithfully carried out his duty, his face etched with the wisdom of the sea and the burden of his sacrifice. He would occasionally glimpse Elizabeth from afar, a silent promise in their eyes, a love that transcended the boundaries of land and sea, patiently waiting for their destined reunion. The ocean, once a source of torment, had become his sanctuary, a vast expanse where he found solace in the rhythm of the waves and the souls he guided to their final rest. His transformation was complete, a testament to the enduring power of love and the sacrifices made for it. However, the balance of the supernatural world is a delicate one, and the absence of Davy Jones created a vacuum, an imbalance that began to manifest in subtle, unsettling ways. Whispers of new, darker entities emerging from the deep began to circulate among the superstitious sailors, creatures born from the residual despair and unresolved energies left behind by Jones' defeat. The sea, though seemingly calm, held new dangers, new mysteries waiting to be unearthed, hinting at a power far older and more primal than even Calypso herself. The victory over Jones was not an end, but a new beginning, a shift in the cosmic tides that would inevitably lead to new challenges and new threats to the fragile peace of the maritime world. Far to the north, in the frozen, uncharted waters, an ancient evil stirred, awakened by the disruption in the balance. An forgotten entity, a primordial force of the deep, began to rise, its power eclipsing even that of the Kraken, its intentions far more sinister than mere vengeance. This creature, a true leviathan of the abyss, sought not just control, but absolute dominion over all life. Its awakening was marked by the sudden, inexplicable freezing of vast stretches of ocean and the disappearance of entire fleets. The world, still reeling from the events of the dead man's chest, was about to face a threat unlike any it had ever known, a force that threatened to plunge the entire planet into an eternal, icy darkness. News of the encroaching ice and the vanishing ships reached the ears of Jack Sparrow, who, despite his newfound freedom, found himself drawn back into the fray, a reluctant hero once more. He knew that this was no ordinary storm, no mere act of nature, but something far more sinister, something that threatened to consume not just the seas, but the very spirit of adventure itself. His compass, once a guide to his desires, now spun wildly, pointing not to treasure, but to an impending doom, a chilling premonition of the darkness that lay ahead. The call of the sea, once a siren song of freedom, had become a desperate plea for help, a challenge that even the most cunning pirate could not ignore. And so the stage is set for a new chapter in the saga of Davy Jones' secret, the curse of the chest. Jack, Will, and Elizabeth, their paths once again intertwined by fate, must now unite against this new, unimaginable threat. Their combined strength and unique abilities, the only hope for salvation. The secrets of the sea run deeper than anyone could have imagined, and the true curse of the chest may yet reveal itself in ways that will challenge their understanding of life, death, and the very nature of existence. Are you ready to witness the ultimate battle for the soul of the ocean, where ancient evils rise and heroes are forged in the crucible of despair? The adventure has just begun.